If you ever watched the movie The Butterfly Effect, then you probably know what this video is going to be about. However, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, let me give you a short introduction. The butterfly effect is, as Wikipedia would say, a sensitive dependence on initial conditions in which one small action performed in the present could have a totally different outcome in the future. Basically, it's what we've all seen in those time travel movies. If you go back in time and change something, the chances of you having the same life once you return to the present are practically none. The butterfly effect indicates that it doesn't matter how small our actions are, the outcome we get from them is totally unexpected. Sometimes the final outcome is good, however there are also times when one action can lead to a disaster in the future. Let's see some examples. To do so, we'll have to go back to the very beginning. The Bible teaches us that because of the decision made by Adam and Eve at the beginning of times, death came upon the human race. If our first parents hadn't sinned, we would have lived in a perfect world. But just because of one decision made eons ago, we live in a totally different world now. Just think about it. If Adam hadn't eaten the apple, we wouldn't have had a First World War or any massive conflict before that one anyway. Now, let's see the other side of the coin and review the decision that actually saved the world. On September 26, 1983, a man named Stanislav Petrov took a decision that avoided what could have been a nuclear war between the United States of America and the Soviet Union. Back then, Stanislav Petrov was a lieutenant colonel of the Soviet Air Defenses Force. His duty was to communicate to his superiors any possible attack captured by the Soviet Union satellite. That way they could react on time and counteract to their enemies. It was that very same day that Petrov noticed a warning from the system indicating that a missile had just been launched from the United States and was headed to the Soviet Union. At first, he thought it had to be a mistake. After all, who would attack a country with just one missile? Soon enough, the system alerted him once more, indicating that 4 more missiles were headed to the Soviet Union. But even then, Petrov didn't react. He kept thinking that it had to be a mistake. There was no reason at all to think that the United States would attack them with only 5 missiles when they had thousands. So he continued to wait, and eventually it was determined that those alerts were indeed a false alarm. If Petrov would have notified his superiors, they probably would have launched their missiles without checking whether or not that warning was real. The outcome would have been catastrophic and the world probably wouldn't be the same. In the end, Petrov's decision had consequences. He avoided the end of the world as we know it, but instead he got downgraded for not letting his superiors know about the so-called attack. He eventually retired, and years later, a movie about his life was produced. So now that we know what the butterfly effect is, let's talk about why it has that name. Because after all, it's just a name, right? We could say the ant effect. What about the dog effect? Well, no, it's not just a name. The reason why the butterfly effect is used as a title that explains the chaos theory, it's because it represents the whole concept of it. A butterfly is one of the tiniest flying insects in the world, and it's said that something as small as the flutter of a butterfly's wings can ultimately cause a typhoon halfway around the world. A story of success. The butterfly effect has proven to cause chaos in the life of many people, but just as it is bad, it's also been good. In fact, there are hundreds of stories with happy endings. However, today we'll just focus on one. It was 1954. A young Cassius Clay was with some friends looking for free candy and popcorn. To his surprise, after he left the establishment where he was at, the bike in which he had gone to that place was gone. Someone had stolen it. The poor boy sat to cry for his bike when a man approached him and told him that he could complain to a police officer who happened to be in the building's basement where he was. Curiously, that policeman ran a boxing gym in that basement during his spare time. When the boy complained about his bike being robbed, he said, "If I find the guy who took my bike, I'm gonna whoop him up." The policeman listened and replied, "Do you know how to fight? You should know how to fight if you're gonna whoop up somebody." And that was it. The little boy learned how to box and ended up becoming the person who to this day continues to be considered as the best boxer in the world, Muhammad Ali. We guess boxing fans should thank whoever stole Ali's bike. After all, if that hadn't happened, you wouldn't be watching a story about him right now. How is this video changing my life? Yes, we mentioned this video was in fact going to change your life, and no, it's not a clickbait strategy. The fact that you took the time to watch this video has made and continues to make a change in how your life is being affected. It doesn't even matter if we talk about a change in a near future or a far one. By watching this video, you stopped doing something else, and by doing so, you prevented yourself from maybe standing up from wherever you are and stumbling over a banana peel. We probably just saved your life. Okay, we're overreacting, but you get the point. So what do you think? Have any of your actions led you to have a better life? Let us know.